JuJu Watkins had no intention of sitting quietly on the sidelines. When she made her opinion about Caitlin Clark clear, it wasn't just a passing comment, it was a statement of presence. JuJu doesn't do subtlety when it comes to what she believes, and her actions during this particular moment underscored not just her confidence, but her ability to command attention in a way that seemed both effortless and calculated. It wasn't loud, it wasn't showy, but it was enough to get everyone talking. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. The event itself wasn't a grand spectacle. There weren't massive banners or fireworks announcing her thoughts. There didn't need to be. It was in the details, the little things JuJu often uses to get her point across. Whether it was a glance, a gesture, or the tone of her response, she communicated volumes without over-explaining. That's part of what makes JuJu compelling. She knows exactly how to make a moment hers without trying to overpower it. Caitlin Clark, for her part, is no stranger to being in the spotlight. Her sharp skills on the court and her no-nonsense attitude have earned her fans and detractors in equal measure. She's a player who thrives on proving people wrong, and her game speaks louder than anything else. But when JuJu decided to weigh in on her, the dynamic shifted. It wasn't just two players being compared. It felt like a collision of basketball philosophies. JuJu, poised and electrifying, seemed to bring a different energy to the conversation, one that challenged the established narrative around Clark. The beauty of JuJu's approach was in its timing. She didn't strike when the conversation was already saturated with opinions about Caitlin. She waited, letting the narrative bubble before adding her voice. By the time she spoke, it felt like everyone was holding their breath, waiting to hear what she had to say. That's the kind of instinct you can't teach. JuJu didn't just comment on Caitlin Clark. She inserted herself into the same conversation, subtly but powerfully declaring, "I'm here too." This wasn't a rivalry in the traditional sense. There were no heated exchanges or pointed remarks aimed directly at each other. Instead, it was the tension of two forces being aware of each other, circling without colliding. JuJu's opinion seemed to imply respect, but with a dash of challenge, as if to say, "I see you, but don't think for a second I'm looking up." It was this tone, sharp and self-assured, that got people buzzing. The implications of JuJu's move stretched far beyond the immediate moment. In the basketball world, where legacy is often defined as much by off-court charisma as on-court performance, JuJu's decision to speak her mind about Caitlin Clark carried weight. She wasn't just another player commenting on another player. She was staking her claim as someone whose voice mattered in the sport. For young athletes watching, it was a masterclass in confidence. For fans, it added a layer of drama to what might have otherwise been a routine discussion about stats and rankings. JuJu and Caitlin represent two sides of a coin in women's basketball. Caitlin, with her unapologetic swagger and sharp edge, embodies a raw, almost scrappy determination. JuJu, on the other hand, feels more polished but no less dangerous. Where Caitlin might jaw at an opponent mid-game, JuJu is more likely to let a sly smile say what words cannot. This contrast is part of what made JuJu's opinion of Caitlin so captivating. It wasn't just about what she said. It was about the context she brought to the table. The humor in all this lies in how naturally it seemed to unfold. JuJu didn't seem to be trying too hard to stir the pot, and yet here we are, dissecting every nuance of her actions. It's the kind of effortless charisma that makes her a star, both on and off the court. Even when she's making a serious point, there's an underlying playfulness in her manner that suggests she's enjoying every second of the attention. It's not arrogance, it's self-awareness. She knows she's good, and she's not afraid to show it. The audience has always played its part. Social media lit up with reactions, debates, and memes dissecting what JuJu might have meant. Some praised her for speaking up, while others questioned whether it was necessary. But that's the thing about JuJu. She doesn't need universal approval. Her confidence is rooted in her ability, not in how others perceive her. That's what makes her a standout figure in a sea of talented athletes. She's not just playing the game, she's shaping the narrative around it. For Caitlin, the response, or lack thereof, was telling. She didn't rush to defend herself or engage in any sort of back and forth. That restraint, in its own way, added to the intrigue. It was as if both players were communicating in a language only they fully understood, leaving the rest of us to try and decode the meaning. It was a moment that reminded everyone why sports are as much about storytelling as they are about skill. JuJu's opinion of Caitlin wasn't about tearing her down. If anything, it was a subtle acknowledgement of her presence as a competitor, albeit one delivered with JuJu's trademark flair. In doing so, she added depth to the broader conversation about women's basketball. These weren't just two players. There were two icons in the making, each carving out her place in a rapidly growing sport. And for fans, it was a reminder of why we watch in the first place. The drama, the personalities, and the unspoken rivalries that make every game feel like part of a larger story. The event also highlighted JuJu's uncanny ability to read a room, or in this case, an entire sports community. She knew her words would resonate, sparking debates that went beyond the court. It was a calculated move, sure, but it didn't feel forced. That's the magic of JuJu Watkins. She operates with a confidence that feels organic, as though she's simply being herself and the world just happens to be watching. Caitlin Clark may have been the subject of JuJu's opinion, but the moment wasn't about Caitlin alone. It was about what JuJu represents, a new era of athletes unafraid to speak their minds and challenge the status quo. Whether you agreed with her or not, you couldn't ignore her. That's the mark of a true star, and JuJu wears it well. JuJu Watkins' presence in this moment transcended the simplicity of opinion. It became a snapshot of what modern basketball is evolving into, a stage where players are not just athletes but also personalities, commentators, and architects of their own stories. JuJu's move wasn't about overshadowing Caitlin Clark. It was about stepping into the frame as an equal, not someone watching from the wings. It's the kind of energy that separates the good from the great, and understanding that greatness isn't just about playing the game but also owning the space around it. The ripple effect of this exchange was immediate, but it wasn't chaos. It was more like a well-placed stone in calm waters. The discussions didn't spiral, they deepened. People weren't just talking about JuJu's opinion. They were examining what it meant in the larger narrative of women's basketball. Was this a rivalry? Was it a passing remark? Or was it a calculated signal that JuJu Watkins is ready to take her place among the giants? In a way, it was all of those things. JuJu's ability to spark this kind of conversation without trying too hard is what makes her an undeniable force. Caitlin Clark may continue to dominate the headlines, but JuJu made sure her voice was heard loud enough to matter. In doing so, she set the stage for something bigger than herself, a future where athletes like her and Caitlin redefine what it means to be at the top. It was bold. It was deliberate. It was JuJu. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.